Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Efeni. Good morning, Emmanuel.
Good morning, Ruben.
Good morning.
Good morning, Rufai. Good morning, Victoria Tundu MK Abiola.
Good morning.
Yes, black is beautiful, especially when sitting on you.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, let's start the review with this day, Nigeria's newspaper of record. Ruben, let's start, Ruben. Now, we start with this day. Yes, Nigeria's newspaper of record. Now, the lead story concerns mount over National Assembly's amendment of Electoral Act to boost Lawan's chances. Yes, senior lawyers split on appeal court voiding of judgment striking down Section 8412 of Electoral Act. Despite ruling, appellate court insists section on constitutional breaches Section 42, subsection 1 of the Nigerian Constitution. Now, other stories in the front page of this day. Now, above the lead story. 2023, Nwajuba Onu Akpabio resigned following Buhari's directive. Yes, Amechi, Malami, Silva, Ngige, others yet to comply. Well, they have up till 16th of May to do so. I will consult with President, my constituents, Labour Minister declares. They have up till 16th to vacate offices. Lai Mohammed. It's with immediate effect. Shehu clarifies. CSOs commend president. Yes, well, I won't be one of those to commend the president because he ought to have done this much earlier. Because for so many ministers to be doling out 100 million naira to purchase the APC ticket, it looks like they were on a fundraising drive, and the president did not want to throw spanner into that fundraising drive. But now with pressure, as some other newspapers are reporting this story, the president has done the needful. But going by APC's own guidelines, these ministers are already in the breach because they have 30 days before the primaries to resign. But certainly they've passed that threshold. But will there be legal implications? Will there be challenges if some of these ministers continue with their ambition? Well, many of those who picked this ticket saw it coming. Many, to be fair, don't really stand any chance of even picking the APC ticket. But they invested 100 million naira. I think that will count for something along the way in terms of political capital garnered ahead of the 2023 general elections if the APC eventually wins. Now, if we just look at other newspapers, how they are reporting this story. Now, the Guardian newspaper, Electoral Act, 3 ministers resign, others in a fix. Now, the Punch newspaper, ministers exit ahead of primaries, Buhari bows to pressure. APC panel may demand resignation letters. Nwajuba Onu Akpabio tender resignation. Malami Ngige retain seats. Well, that is for the time being. They have a few days to do the needful. Action belated could have saved nation from drama. Senior advocates of Nigeria berate Buhari. I am with them on that. Now, the Daily Trust newspaper also reporting this story. To save governance, Buhari orders Amechi, Malami, 7 other ministers to quit. Of course, we had always known that governance was already in abeyance as far as some of these ministers were concerned, because they've been gallivanting, crisscrossing the country in their bid to to woo delegates, even if some will not get more even the delegates from their states. Now, the Nation newspaper, quit order how Buhari shocked ministers at Federal Executive Council meeting. Wajuba's resignation sparked presidential action. President unhappy with Emefiele's court case. Akpabio Onu exit. Well, the Minister of Information was asked yesterday at that press briefing, what about a certain Godwin Emefiele, the governor of the central bank? He said, for now, my brief is to talk about the cabinet ministers, perhaps somewhere along the line, if there's any news about the central bank governor, I will be here to brief you. That's how Lai Mohammed, the Minister of Information, put that yesterday. Now, the Vanguard newspaper, I just look at the second lead. 2023, PDP throws presidential ticket open. Mark heads PDP presidential primary panel. Primary to hold in Abuja. Yes, PDP, they've been kicking the can down the road, postponing meetings and rescheduling meetings. But somewhere along the line, they just have to say something. Now, no zoning. It's open to all from every zone. That's what the PDP has decided. Will they pay for this, or is this their winning joker come 2023? Well, we'll see how it unfolds. But in the event that the PDP ticket is picked by a northern candidate, what will be the repercussion for the southern states that have always backed the PDP? Well, as they say, let's win the election first, then we'll talk about zoning other offices. That's the body language and the feelings among PDP bigwigs. Yes, yesterday, Ima Ogidi, Brother Ima Ogidi, as I usually call him, was on our program. And he was just dribbling the questions, as it were. But now, yes, now we know where they're all heading. No zoning. Let the guy who can win the election for us as a party get the ticket. They are even considering consensus in the PDP. Who will be their consensus candidate, or who will win the ticket and get majority of the delegates at the convention? We are watching PDP, and we'll see how APC will respond, because APC also, they've been looking over their shoulders at what the main opposition party is doing. Now, the leadership newspaper, yes, the lead story, staving off litigation, PMB asks Malami Amechi Silva, 5 others to go. Daily Sun, 2023 polls, Buhari gives minister orders to quit. Now, there's another story there, the front page of the Daily Sun newspaper. Ex-Biafran war veterans protest in Ibadan over non-payment of entitlements for 44 years. Oh. Now, another story, the front page of the Daily Sun. One dies in attack on JAMB officials in Lagos hotel. Now, let's look at the New Telegraph newspaper quickly. Buhari gives appointees eyeing elective offices 5 days to quit. Of course, others are also quitting. The president's special assistant on new media has also tendered its resignation, according to reports this morning, in order to pursue his ambition to be a member of the House of Representatives. Now, the Daily Independent newspaper, primaries appeal court insists political appointees won't vote. Say they won't be voted for, can't be candidates for election, set aside judgment voiding section 8412 sees provision as illegal. Of course, lawyers have divergent opinion. The appeal court ruling that the man who brought that suit to the Umuahia court has no local standard to bring the case. But they ruled on the substantive matter. And from what some lawyers are saying, that Supreme Court has actually encouraged courts to do that so that they don't waste the time of the court after dealing with issue of jurisdiction, then you now come back to the substantive issue. So we'll see how that pans out. Now, the foreign newspapers quickly. The Times of London. UK troops will defend Scandinavia from Putin. Prime Minister signs military pact with Sweden and Finland. Yes, the British Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, has become the first Western leader to pledge military support as he signed the Mutual Defense Pact with Sweden and Finland, 2 countries bordering Russia. And he went further to state that Britain would very seriously, yes, very seriously, the exact words of the Prime Minister, consider deploying nuclear weapons to protect sovereignty of Sweden and Finland. You would deploy nuclear weapons to Swedish soil and Finland in the backyard of Russia? Well, it's getting nastier by the day. Tundu, your worst fears, nuclear weapons may just be around the corner. Well, for the president of Finland, he will submit his application today of his country, applying for NATO membership. While in Sweden, of course, the debate to join or not to join NATO has been swung in favor of those who want to join NATO because of the invasion of Ukraine. Well, but let's look at the Financial Times. Brussels threatening retaliation if Northern Ireland Protocol is ditched. EU response to London shift. Bloc will restart legal action. Biden seeks to mediate. Yes, the Prime Minister of UK is having his hands full. Want to chair the Northern Ireland Protocol as agreed in the Brexit negotiation. But if that happens, there will be consequences. It has implications. Mm-hmm. Tundu, Ruben, and Rufai.
I mean, so for me, it has to be said that the move Boris Johnson is making now, these are very strategic moves, and I'm sure the whole
military or the economy?
No, the military.
Okay.
No, for the economy, he's never done anything strategic. There's been no thought process.
He's trying to appeal to his Brexit.
Yeah,
the Brexiteer.
So there's been no thought process for him as regards the economy. But it's a strategic move because when you look at what is happening now, what Russia has done in Ukraine is a threat to everybody in that region. Mm-hmm. Even countries as small as Moldova. The Moldova Prime Minister wrote an op-ed the other day, pretty much calling for help, that she believes that Putin might invade Moldova next. And when you look at all those countries, they've got land borders. Finland, obviously, we know. We know how Finland even fought for where it is today, in the 40s and the 50s. Sweden has got borders, but it's just across the Baltic Sea. When you check out the map, you see Sweden up there, over the Baltic Sea, then you see Russia. And all of this share borders. And Putin, in his rage of madness, can do anything because these countries are strategically linked. He's talked to Poland in a very strong term recently because of the support they're giving. So, yes, we don't want nuclear proliferation in the world. We thought everything nuclear proliferation should have ended with Gorbachev. But apparently, it's not the way it is today. After the agreement between Gorbachev and Reagan. But it's not the way it is today because after Gorbachev, then you have a mad Putin.
Well, who is breaching the agreement? The understanding between Gorbachev and Ronald Reagan?
But when you look at it...
Putin will say it's the West.
But when you look at it, it's Putin first. It's in all of this conversation. Let's ask ourselves, who first mentioned that I will use nuclear weapons?
No, we're not talking about that. That's not the beginning of history. We're talking about moving NATO into former Warsaw Pact countries
I completely agree with you there, but I just feel like Putin has made them bond even more. It's going to make them expand even more, which is what he did not want.
That's just it.
And now you mentioned Gorbachev. Do you remember a time when Bill Clinton said of this same Vladimir Putin, who we know today, that he's the new Gorbachev? Remember when Clinton actually thought that?
Everybody
the West
thought
was
that.
so excited by
about him
Putin before he became this creature, yes.
Yes, because the words change.
So
they did not keep to their understanding.
But don't you think he's completely lost it? Now he's acting like Hitler. And I think what's happening now is that saying that if you don't learn the lessons of history, you're doomed to repeat it. They're trying to avoid that mistake that they made, appeasing Hitler, Neville Chamberlain and Edouard Daladier. And now they're trying to now curtail Putin's expansionist instincts.
Remember
all that Lebensraum. Putin might decide he wants to take over the whole of Europe.
So a quick point, and this was what the British Secretary of Defense had been saying before the war started, Ben Harper. I was in England there. Ben Wallace. He kept on saying, take the fight to this man. Everybody there was telling Ben Wallace, keep quiet. No, don't inflame tensions. But it's egg in their face now because Ben Wallace was right. You don't appease somebody like this.
At the end of the day, the bigger objective for world leaders, for whether Putin or whoever is fighting, will be global peace. And that the objectives of ensuring peace, development, and security in the world will not be derailed by the individual ambitions of leaders and also nations. But I wanted to talk about two things. Section 8412 and the ruling yesterday by the division of the Court of Appeal, sitting in Abuja. And the lead judgment that was presented by Hama Baka JCA with regard to that Section 8412. I've seen conflicting interpretations in the papers. But I've tried to take a look at the ruling. Although we have Paul Ananaba, SCN, who is going to join us, and he's as a senior advocate who will shed light on it. But I think that there's some confusion as to what exactly the court was saying. Now there was concurrency, among their Lord Justices, the three members of the panel, that they found in favor of the appellants, in this case the People's Democratic Party, that had gone to court, seek leave of court in the Umuahia division, and then went to the Court of Appeal in the Owerri division and argued that the decision arrived at by that Federal High Court in Umuahia was arrived at per incuriam, in other words, in error. But when you look at that ruling, the lead judgment by Justice Barker, the very first 4 paragraphs, he nullified Section 8412 of the Electoral Act. He determined that this was a violation of Section 42, of the Constitution, which relates to your freedom of assembly, your freedom of association, which would seem to be an echo of the decision that was taken by that Federal High Court in Umuahia, and the request of the President of Nigeria when he returned, gave his assent, his conditional assent, if you like, to that particular bill when it came to him.
Assent is not never conditional.
Well, no, because he qualified it. He said he wanted the National Assembly, to take a look at this particular session. But to the extent that he did not take the consequential action of sending a bill for further amendment, then of course it's of no effect. And that was why it was easy for the National Assembly to ignore that advice, because it was merely an advice. But we've seen litigation. And on the basis of this litigation, we have had cases. The directive by the Federal High Court, Umuahia, saying that the Section 8412 should be deleted by the Office of the Attorney General. Ministers saying on the basis of the matter still being in court, they will not, they will sit tight, they will not resign, even if they have been advised to do so by civil society and others. And of course, the Justice of the Court of Appeal quoted all the relevant sections, Section 66, 107, 182, and dwelt at length, in extenso, on Section 318 with regards to who exactly is a public officer and who exactly is a civil servant. However, after all that review, in the opening paragraphs of the ruling, the ruling looked at the facts of the case, the issues, and then their lordships concluded that they found against the defendant, right, on 2 critical grounds. One, of jurisdiction. Jurisdiction is the life wire of any judicial process. It is the most fundamental. It is the core of it. If there is no jurisdiction, then there is nothing. Because jurisdiction, we're told under principles of law, elementary law, is a matter that you can raise before, during, or after. And at any time, is material. So if a court lacks jurisdiction, it means the court lacks capacity to hear a case. And to the extent of the principle, ex nihilo nihili fit, nothing can stand on nothing. It means that whatever happened in the Federal High Court here is a nullity. It's null and void. Okay? Then the other issue that they raise, the case in PDP versus Chief Nduka Edede, who was the defendant, is the issue of locus standi. Locus standi has to do with the capacity of the parties in the matter. And the court determined that Chief Nduka Edede has no capacity, has no locus in the matter. His course of action, cannot be defended. So if you look at that, that's dealing with the ratio of the case itself. So if what happened to Umahia is a nullity, then it's a nullity. You cannot now say that their lordships have decided they've upheld, because in the concurring rulings and in the concluding paragraphs, their lordships were very clear that, look, they are dismissing it. But the caveat there...
You don't see confusion here.
No, the caveat there...
Why did they start by ruling on the substantive issue?
No, just wait. There are two sides to a ruling. Their lordships can also express opinion. The ratio, they define the ratio decidendi, the facts, the issues. But they can also express an opinion. It's called obiter.
Are you saying
dictum.
Expressing opinion, or they're making a ruling?
No, a court of law.
The validity of section.
No, a court of law. A court of law can express an opinion. A court of law is not under any obligation to address a matter that is not before it, because a court of law is not a Father Christmas. Which takes me to the next point. That, look, I think the importance of this matter is that it has not ended. Some of the papers reported, some learned counsel saying that, look, this matter still has to go all the way to the Supreme Court for the Supreme Court to comment on it. The position of the law as regards jurisdiction and locus was well defined by their lordships. But you cannot grab the obiter and say that is the law. If I'm confused, Paul and Anaba SAN will soon join us.
I'm sure you have confused more people.
No, I'm not confused. I'm clear.
Ruben.
There is another case. There is a case that was filed by the National Assembly. You recall that the National Assembly, they also questioned jurisdiction. They questioned, the fact that they were not joined in the matter. Mm-hmm. And in line with, procedures, they got Kayode Ajulo to seek the leave of court in Umahia for him to go on appeal. Now, the National Assembly is also still going on appeal in this matter. And they don't have a date yet. So, and that's why I was saying that this matter may go all the way to the Supreme Court.
So we've not heard the last.
Yes, but as of this moment,
what is the law?
The position of the law is that section 8412 in the Electoral, until it is otherwise determined by the court.
So you are saying what we have is not a ruling, but just an opinion?
It's just an opinion.
No, there was a ruling. The ruling dismissed
the case of
the Federal High Court in Umahia on the grounds of jurisdiction and locus. So that was a nullity.
But ruled on the substantive issue.
No, they expressed an opinion.
So it was not a ruling.
So you are calling it an opinion, not a ruling?
No.
It's not a law?
No, it's an opinion.
So I think
you cannot, on one hand, say that something is a nullity, and then you also rule on it. That's why I say we have not seen the end of it. It can be challenged. It will go all the way to the Supreme Court.
Some lawyers...
But like you said...
Yes, no problem.
Interpretation of what transpired.
The Court of Law is not a Father Christmas. In the first place, the case it was looking at was that Umahia judgment.
Yes.
And it has said that Umahia judgment never happened in the first place. Secondly, it has said that the party to the Umahia judgment matter had no business with the case in the first place. The Chief Nduka, he had no business in the first place.
But made pronouncement on the substantive issue.
But that was not the issue put before it. So anything is said about that is secondary. Based on what I know.
It's litigants that can take the case further.
Yeah. So
that's a gray area. So somebody will challenge that.
Well, yeah. I'm sure some other lawyers will have a different view from.
Yeah, we have a senior advocate coming.
Yes.
You know.
So he will shed more light.
Lawyers don't always agree.
Yes.
And whatever he says, it doesn't mean that that's the end of the matter. So we have not seen the end of it.
I think this will still even go to the Supreme Court. Because there are many parties to the matter. The Kaya part, I think also the House of Rep too sought legal counsel, in getting a lawyer to be able to help them look at it and see if they can push it forward. But one thing is certain, but I think in all of this, when this judgment came, some people were a little bit triumphalist. But I think the decision of the president has even, to a large extent, set the tone for this. That people should just resign and do the decent thing.
That's the bottom line.
They should just resign and do the decent thing. Yeah. Because this interpretation a lot of people are going to seek here and there, it doesn't nullify the fact that you have not done what is right and what is moral.
Apart from even the morality, is the pragmatic aspect. I mean, you know better than anybody else sitting here. When you're campaigning is all consuming, you simply don't have time to do any other job. So we're not being served as
in all of this now, look at the case of the people kidnapped. We've not heard the transport minister say anything as regards this. Look at the case of ASU. We've not heard the ministers involved. Funny enough, one of the ministers that's supposed to be connected with the ASU matter is still going to ask maybe he should resign or not, that he wants to seek the face of president.
Thank you for referring to when I went to run for election. I stepped down.
You stepped down?
Did.
For my rights.
You were like a decent human being.
I stepped down.
Like a decent human being.
I went away on a leave of absence.
That's what you do.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That is what you do.
And that was way
before we use our rights to campaign.
Yeah.
And we would have resisted that.
No, we would have argued that this is a matter of conflict of
interest. That's what you do. But I don't want to muddy the waters even further. But you know the case of Senator Abraham Adesanya and the President of the Federal Republic and Justice Ovie Whiskey. Remember that case?
Ovie Whiskey.
Ovie Whiskey, I beg your pardon. Remember, well, we have to go. But that was Obiter sort of becoming really stubborn and sticking to this law on local standard. Because you recall, the justices of the Supreme Court did not form a consensus.
Yes.
There were two camps. There was one tiebreaker, which is why there's 7 of them, Justice Uwais, and he did not even come down on either side. And that Obiter has clung to us till this day, from 1981. So Obiter is not really to be that easily dismissed.
It was upturned in the Fawahimi case.
Yeah, but that's a criminal.
But, in this particular case, the lead judgment was saying the position is still
it's correct,
case. Yeah, but, they will pursue it further.
And that was no consensus.
It's a long road. But as it is today, 84-12 still subsists. So I hope...
Well, thank you very much.